Okay, time for convening having arrived. The Senate will come to order. We have a busy day today with the judiciary, with the joint session that we will be having shortly. So we're going to move through the process to be ready by 11 o'clock. Senate will come to order. Chair recognizes the senator from the 53rd.
Good morning, Mr. President. A day in history. Tommy Aaron, the great golfer, was born this date, 1937. He won the Masters, 1973, and he's from Gainesville, Georgia. The journal's been read and found to be correct today.
Thank you, Senator, for your good works on the journal, and you're exactly right. A great Gainesvillian. Is there objection dispensing with the reading of the journal? Reading of journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of journal? Chair hears none. Journal is confirmed. All senators having bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. First reading in reference of Senate bills and resolutions.
Senate Bill 470 by Senator Raccoon, 29th, and others. A bill entitled
Public Safety.
Senate Bill 471 by Senator Huffstar, the 52nd.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 472 by Senator Jordan, the 6th, and others. A bill entitled an act.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 473 by Senator Williams, the 39th, and others.
Government Oversight.
Senate Bill 474 by Senator Jordan, the 6th, and others.
Insurance and Labor.
Senate Bill 475 by Senator Panner, the 42nd. A bill entitled an act amendment Title 34 of the
Insurance and Labor.
Senate Resolution 882 by Senator Jones.
Transportation.
Senate Resolution 886 by Senator Jackson, the 2nd.
Rules Committee.
Senate Resolution 897 by Senator Walker, the 36th, and others. A resolution.
Rules Committee.
Senate Resolution 899 by Senator James, the 35th, and others.
Rules Committee.
Senate Resolution 922 by Senator James, the 35th.
Judiciary.
Mr. President, that concludes the order.
First reading in reference of House bills and resolutions.
House Bill 161 by Representative Price, the 48th, and others. A bill without an act.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 327 by Representative Blackman.
Finance.
House Bill 646 by Representative Dempsey.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 697 by Representative Taylor, 73.
Finance.
House Bill 735 by Representative Blantley, 139.
Finance.
Health Bill 769 by Representative Jasper, the
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 782 by Representative Rhodes, the 120th, and others. A bill without
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 827 by Representative Kelly, the 16th, and others. A bill
Finance.
House Bill 856 by Representative Deffenbaugh, the 1st, and others. A bill
Public Safety.
Mr. President, that concludes the order.
Secretary will read reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, Senate Committee on Veterans, Military, and Homeland Security has had our consideration of the following legislation instructed board the same back to Senate and following recommendation. House Bill 309 do pass, and by Senator Watson of the 1st. Mr. President, Senate Transportation Committee has had our consideration of the following legislation instructing board the same back to the Senate and following recommendation. Senate Bill 445 do pass by substitute. Senate Resolution 745 do pass by substitute. Summarized Senator Beach of the 21st. Mr. President, Senate Committee on Rules has had our consideration of the following legislation instructing board the same back to the Senate and following recommendation. Senate Resolution 794 do pass. Senate Resolution 821 do pass by substitute. Senate Resolution 832 do pass. Senator Moss of the 53rd. Mr. President, Senate Committee on Urban Affairs has had our consideration of the following legislation instructing board the same back to the Senate with final recommendation. Senate Bill 411 do pass. Sent by Senator Jackson II. Mr. President, Senate Committee on Insurance and Labor has had our consideration the following legislation instructed board the same back to the Senate for recommendation. Senate Bill 350 do pass by substitute. Sent by Senator Jones the 25th. Mr. President, Senate Committee on Finance has had our consideration the legislation instructed board the same back to the Senate with following recommendation. Senate Bill 432 do pass by substitute. Senate Bill 458 do pass. Senate Resolution 752 do pass. House Bill 8D5 do pass by substitute. House Bill 694 do pass by substitute. House Resolution 51 do pass by substitute. Senator Huffstar the 52nd. Mr. President, Senate Committee on Judiciary has had our consideration following legislation instructing board same back to the Senate with following recommendation. Senate Bill 470 to pass by substitute. Senate Bill 452 to pass by substitute. Senate Bill 443 to pass by substitute. Senator Stone 23rd. That concludes the order.
Secretary will read bills for the second time.
Senate Bill 325 by Senator Kirkpatrick the 32nd and others. Interstate Medical Licensure Compact Act. Georgia Composite Medical Board to administer the compact in the state. Authorized Senate Bill 339 by Senator Ligon III and others. Board of Regents University System establishment of free speech policies for institutions of the university system. Provide. Senate Bill 351 by Senator Unterman the 45th and others. Nurses Advanced Nursing Practice provisions are revised. Senate Bill 358 by Senator Red of the 33rd and others. County Municipal Corporations establishment of banking improvement zones. Agreement for deposit of public funds. Provide. Senate Bill 376 by Senator Schaefer of the 48th and others. Identity theft. Consumer Credit Reporting Agency charging fee for replacing or removing a security freeze. Prohibit. Senate Bill 395 by Senator Watson the 1st and others. Georgia Joint Defense Commission create. Senate Bill 396 by Senator Schaefer of the 48th and others. Telephone system for physically impaired. Statewide dual party relay service and audible universal information access service change provisions. Senate Bill 420 by Senator Red of the 33rd and others. Health Health clubs have at least one functional automated external defibrillator on site at such facility requires. Senate Bill 422 by Senator Unterman, the 45th, and others. Clinical laboratories exempting pharmacists from provisions of said chapter when performing certain tests and provisions change. Senate Bill 434 by Senator Unterman, the 45th, and others. Georgia Board for Physician Workforce. Georgia Board of Healthcare Workforce changed the name. Senate Resolution 537 by Senator Beach, the 21st, and others. State property, unauthorized vehicular traffic, provide closure. House Resolution 943 by Representative Morris, the 26th, and others. Joint Georgia, North Carolina, and Georgia, Tennessee Boundary Line Commission create. That concludes the order.
Secretary will read the Public Safety Committee report.
Mr. President, Senate Committee on Public Safety has had a consideration of the following legislation report with the same back to Senate following recommendation. Senate Bill 435 to pass by substitute. Senate Bill 406 to pass by substitute. Senate Bill 228 to pass by substitute. Senate Bill 446 to pass. Senate by Senator Alvarez, the 56th. That concludes the order.
It is now time for the morning roll call. Time for the morning roll call. Are there motions to excuse? Chair first will recognize Senator from the 55th on a motion to excuse.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 36th.
Didn't hear it, do you? What was the number? 36. Without objection, the senator from the 36th will be excused. Chair recognizes now. No, I'm sorry. 32nd is 22nd was the other one that she was asking. Without objection, the senator from the 22nd will be excused as well. Chair now recognizes the senator from DeKalb.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 26th.
26th.
Business outside the county.
Without objection, the distinguished senator from Bibb County will be excused. Chair now recognizes the distinguished senator from Columbus, senator from the 15th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 5th.
5th? 5th, without objection, senator from the 5th will be excused. Are there any other motions to excuse? Any other motions to excuse? Senators, please signify your presence by voting the yea switch. The secretary will unlock the machine. It is now time for our morning devotion. Time for our morning devotion. Let me ask all senators to please take your seats and cease all audible conversation at this time as we are preparing for our morning devotion. Senators, please take your seats. Let's quieten the chamber down as we are preparing for our morning devotion. It is now my distinct honor to recognize the distinguished senator from the 40th for the purpose of leading us in our pledge and introducing chaplain of the day. Senator?
Thank you, Mr. President. Please join me in the pledge to the U.S. flag and the Georgia flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and the principles for which
President. This will be a brief introduction. I'd like to welcome my pastor, the Reverend Dan Brown. He's here today with his wife, Carol, over here as well. They've been married for a long, long time. They've got 2 children. One, Chris, played football for the University of Georgia. And probably most interesting is his daughter, Catherine, is still over in the Seoul Olympics covering it. She's an anchor up in Raleigh, North Carolina. And Dan's been my pastor for a number of years. He's a Methodist preacher, which means he can't keep a job. He's itinerant. He's gone to numerous congregations in this state. And finally, I will close with this, and I don't see him, but I wish the senator from the 20th was here, because he needs to aspire to have hair like this someday when he gets a lot older. And with that, I introduce Dan Brown.
Thank you, Senator Miller. It is a pleasure to be with you and Lieutenant Governor and the members of the Senate and the gallery. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and to share again. As Senator Miller mentioned, I am a Methodist minister. And a few months ago at the church where I serve as the senior pastor, the staff decided to engage in a little bit of playful competition around healthy living. We had a game that we called Game On, and basically it was to help the staff develop a little bit healthier lifestyle. And here's the way it worked. Each of the members of the staff that participated, and there were probably about 35 of them, they were all divided up into teams. And each of the members who participated were given a diet, and every time they lived by the diet, they scored points. Every time they didn't live by the diet, they lost points. And the same thing was true about drinking water and exercise. And then at the end of the week, all of the individual scores were combined with their team scores, and then that was compared against all of the other teams. Well, a few weeks later, we had our end of the year, or end of the competition banquet. And we saw some pretty amazing things. One of the members of the staff had lost about 15 pounds, and it wasn't me. Another member of the staff had lost a lot of body weight, and again, that wasn't me. And there were other things like that. But they also started giving out awards. They gave out awards for the one who had lost the most weight and the one who had lost the most body mass and the team that scored the most. And there were several others. However, at one point, they came over to me and they presented me with an award. And they presented me with this little baseball bobblehead. And there was a tag on it that said, "Dan, thanks for being such a good sport." Now, you know what they were saying, don't you? They were saying when it came to this competition, you were the worst. You didn't eat right. You didn't drink the water right. You didn't exercise right. You didn't do any of it right. It was sort of a loser's award for senior ministers. But I liked it because it still made me feel like I belong. Wouldn't it be great if we lived in a world where everybody felt like they belonged? Wouldn't it be great if we lived in a world where the attitude was just only us? Unfortunately, that's not the sort of world in which we live today, is it? Too often, sometimes it is, but too often, we live in a world where instead of only us, it's us and them. Somewhere I remember reading that this develops very early in life. It's a natural tendency in all of us, and it just sort of continues all the way through life. And it finds all sorts of different expressions when we're kids. What do we do when we want to play a game? We divide up into teams. And later, it finds expression in all sorts of other ways. Everything from competing industries to the world of sports. Anybody in here remember the National Football Championship game just a little over a month ago? If you're a Georgia fan, as I am, you'd rather forget it. You'd rather think about the Rose Bowl. But back to the championship game for just a moment. When that game started, and all the way through it, and all the way up until it ended. How many of the people in the Mercedes-Benz building do you think were thinking, it's not us and them in here, it's only us in here? No, probably not a single one. What were they thinking? They were thinking, it is us and it is them. It finds expression in all sorts of different ways, doesn't it? Sometimes it even finds expression in politics. Now, let's be real. Most of the time, when this finds expression, it is fairly harmless. In our Game On competition at the church, there was a little bit of this in it. And as kids, most of the time when we divide up into teams, it's a friendly game of pick-me-up football or sandlot baseball. And even in the world of business, often a little bit of competition among employees or competing industries is healthy for all of them. But even with this, you sometimes have to be very careful. It takes a lot of reflection and discernment, because if you're not careful, it can turn ugly and hurtful. We've all seen fans at football games that have crossed the line, haven't we? We've all seen politicians who didn't care who they hurt or how much damage they did. It was just win at all costs. And sometimes it can get really ugly, this us and them thinking. Do places like Parkland, Florida, or Las Vegas, or Charlottesville, or Orlando ring any bells? I know that we in this chamber probably come from many different faith traditions, but the person who stands at the center of my faith tradition, a man that those of us in this faith tradition believe was more than a man by the name of Jesus, one day told a story that I think transcends all different faith traditions, one that all of us can appreciate and from which we can learn. He told a story about a man who was driving down a dangerous highway one day, and he was run off the road by another driver, and his car went into the ditch, and he was hurt, and he needed help. Not long afterwards, a legal religious leader came by, and he saw the man's situation, and he knew he needed help, but he thought, I'm late for a meeting. There's his need, there's my need. Somebody else will come along. I need to take care of my need. And he went on. And a little bit later, another religious leader came along and did the same thing. And then a woman drove by. She saw the situation, and she stopped, and she went over to the car, and as she was walking toward the car, she noticed the bumper stickers, and she knew that he belonged to a different political party, that he had a different religious affiliation, but she thought, this guy needs help. And so she pulled out her phone, and she dialed 911, and she waited until help came, and when help came, she told the paramedics, do for him whatever he needs. I'll take care of it. Now let me ask you a question. Was she thinking us and them, or only us? I mean, chances are she didn't change her political party or her religious affiliation. You see, being an only us thinker doesn't necessarily mean that you have to sacrifice your core commitments. What it does mean is that you realize that we're all in it together. It means that you don't see people of another race or gender or political party or religious affiliation as somehow less than you or your group. Instead, it means that you look at them through the eyes of love. You concentrate on the things that you have in common, and you look for ways to build bridges rather than tear them down. To show you what I mean, if you happen to be in here and you are an Alabama fan, congratulations. but we will see you next year. Let's pray. Holy and loving God, it is easy to move from only us thinking to us and them. Oh God, help us to move back and realize that ultimately we are all brothers and sisters. In your most holy name we pray. Amen.
Still Alabama.
Let me recognize the senator from the 56th to recognize a special group in the gallery.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm very proud today to have members of my community up in the gallery representing Be the Voice. Standing up, both Debbie and Michael have been a hero to stopping the bullying campaign. To Be the Voice started right in Roswell with support of our Roswell Rotary Club, and we appreciate everything they do and honor them today. Thank you.
We have another special group we would like to recognize. At this time, Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution Center and sung by Senator Jackson II and others, a resolution committing Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated and for other purposes. That concludes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair is none. The resolution is adopted. Speak to the resolution and recognize our special guest. It's now my honor to call upon the distinguished senator from the 2nd.
Thank you, members. February 22nd is Kappa Alpha Psi Day at our state capitol. Kappa Alpha Psi was founded in 1911 in Indiana University, Bloomington in Indiana. We have with us today our province polemarch, Brother Roseman, Dr. Leon Brown, Mayor of Jason Larry, past province polemarch Mel Solomon, and Martin Raspin. Brothers, Kappa Alpha Psi Day at the Capitol. Right, you will now hear from our province polemarch.
On behalf of the 33rd Grand Polemarch, Brother Thomas L. Ballas Jr., who's a resident of Stockbridge, Jonesboro, and a resident of this great state of Georgia, I'd like to say thank you for recognizing us for Kappa Day at the Capitol. Would all my brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi please stand? Again, thank you so much.
Good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Good. I'd like to present the Doctor of the Day, and to do so, it's my honor to call upon the senator from the 52nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have today Dr. Brad Bushnell. Now, sometimes being the doctor of the day here isn't too bad. In his case, we had him performing minor surgery before he was even supposed to be on duty here this morning, so we put him to work early. He is a native of Athens, was valedictorian at Clark Central. He didn't know I know that, but I do know that. He got his undergraduate degree from Vanderbilt in religious studies, got his doctorate in medicine from the Medical College at Georgia, did his orthopedics at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and he also got an MBA at Auburn University. I'm not real sure about that last one, but he is currently the chair of orthopedics at Harbin Clinic in Rome, the largest private physician group in the state. He's a lead team physician for the Rome Braves. He served as a consultant for the Atlanta Braves and the Colorado Rockies, and has been part of the medical pool for the U.S. Ski team, as well as serving as Berry College Vikings team physician. He studied in Madrid and is fluent in Spanish. He's run 52 triathlons, including an Ironman. So I present to you the Doctor to the Stars, multilingual, religious studies MBA, and Ironman, Brad Bushnell.
Thanks, Chuck. I just want to say it's a huge honor to be here today and serving as Doctor of the Day. Thank you for that opportunity. MAG tells us we're not supposed to lobby for bills or advocate up here, but I got to say, if y'all could pass a bill guaranteeing this kind of beautiful weather in February every year, all the citizens of Georgia's health would benefit by that. So let's get to work on it. Seriously, though, thank y'all so much for the service that you provide and the hard work you do in promoting the health of the citizens of our great state. And thank you again for letting me be here today.
Awesome. Well said. Thank you so much. Good to see you. Appreciate it. We have another special group we'd like to recognize this time.
Senate Resolution 826 by Senator Redd of the 33rd and others, a resolution recognizing February 22nd, 2018 as National Coalition of 100 Black Women Incorporated Day at the State Capitol for other purposes. That concludes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair is none. The resolution is adopted. Speak to the resolution and recognize our special guest. It's now my honor to call upon the distinguished senator from the 33rd.
Thank you, Mr. President, fellow senators, colleagues, friends, and y'all. Today, we are recognizing on February 22nd, the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Incorporated. And this is their day at the state capitol. The mission of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women is to advocate on behalf of black women and girls in order to promote leadership, development, and gender equity in the areas of health, education, and economic empowerment. They also wish to promote the awareness of black culture to develop the potential within its members for effective leadership and participation in civic affairs, to take action on specific issues of national and international importance, and to cooperate with other persons and organizations in order to achieve mutual goals and foster principles of equal rights and opportunity. And now I'm going to ask to come forward Ms. Itia Pounds, who's the president of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. Northwest Georgia chapter. I didn't do too well in geography, so.
On behalf of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Incorporated and the 5 chapters that are represented here today, we say thank you for recognizing us, and we'd like to say thank you to our chapter members who are all here today representing. Thank you. I'm sorry. And our national president, Madam President Virginia Harris.
We have another special group. We would like to recognize Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 792 by Senator James of 35th and others, a resolution recognizing committing Andre Jackson for other purposes. That concludes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair is none. The resolution is adopted. To recognize our special guest, and I call upon the distinguished senator from the 35th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today is First Responders Day, and we have some first responders that are joining us today, and they are up in the gallery. So before we recognize the very special ones who are standing with me, will all of you please stand and let us give you a warm Senate welcome. Thank you very much for putting your lives on the line for us each and every day. Thank you. We're so honored to have you today. And I have the privilege of introducing a very distinguished and accomplished Georgian, Miss Audrian Jackson. Miss Jackson is a native Atlantan and is the daughter of an entrepreneur father and a civil rights activist mother. Her gift of communication was recognized early in her life and led her enrolling a year early into a highly selective and nationally ranked Grady College of Journalism at the University of Georgia. She was even able to graduate in only 3 years, earning numerous awards and recognitions along the way. Ms. Jackson went on to pursue broadcast journalism at a number of different local and national markets before turning her sights on marketing communications. She is now an accomplished strategist, and she's proficient in and has many strengths in political assets. And let's see, and I have 2 minutes, so I gotta. Oh Lord. Well, anyway, she also founded the Flowers for Widows program that surprises recent widowed women and men on Valentine's Day. So I had to say this part because last week on Valentine's Day, I went to my office and I had flowers from my late husband, from her organization, and it was in his memory, and it was from her organization. So I was truly honored and so full all day long, and and the flowers are beautiful, and I still can see them and smell them in my office. So I thank her, and here she is. She is a first responder, and she is joined by Simon and some of our county's leaders in first response. Come on up.
Actually, I'm not a first responder, but I am an entrepreneur, as she said, and I'm also a dedicated community servant, which is what brought me down here today. In 2002, I created the September 11th First Responders Appreciation Program because I wanted to recognize those people in my community. This is a gratitude program that I'm hoping others throughout the state of Georgia will mimic in their own communities. This program, every September 11th for 17 years, have recognized through prayer, through fellowship, and through food and partying. You could say that we party a little bit, don't we? At every fire station and police zone in my community, and we've done that diligently. Last year, we recognized the first responders from the I-85 bridge collapse, which we know was very dangerous to our city and put a lot of people in danger, but we recognized them. We recognized some of the officers who have passed in the line of duty. With me today, I've got my partner on the program, Simon Baby. Some of y'all might know him from the radio station. He's been a partner with me on this program almost from day one. Come on, I'm gonna have him say a few words. And also I have with me Chief Slaughter, as well as Captain Cotton Tukes from the Fulton County Police Department, who's also been a beneficiary of the program. Did I miss somebody? We've got Major Rogers, who's part of the EMT, which is so important. So what I want to say before I wrap it up is that in your community, if you could find a way, because this is a gratitude program. This is a program that says thank you without waiting for a death, without waiting for a fire, without waiting for a 911 call. I urge everybody who's within the sound of my voice to please go to your community and every September 11th, show love for those people who put their lives on the line every day to keep us safe.
No, I just want to say thank you, and please do what Ms. Jackson just said. Please follow your heart and take care of the first responders in your community as well. Have a great day, everybody.
Good morning, legislative body. Interim Fire Chief Randall Slaughter, Atlanta Fire Rescue Department. I just want to take this opportunity to thank Ms. Jackson and Simon for their tremendous effort. They thought it not robbery to recognize the firefighters of this state in this manner for the last 17 years. These firefighters, all 29,717 in the state of Georgia, literally put their lives on the line day in, day out, and with very little thanks or recognition. And of course, they don't do it for that reason. But it's always nice to be recognized in this manner. So I just want to appreciate the two of them for all that they've done to recognize these brave firefighters. Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks. Let's do a picture on the steps. Let's do a picture down on the steps now, okay? All right, let's go. All right, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
You got it? All right, good.
Did you get your? I'm sorry. Did you get? Sorry.
We have another special group we'd like to recognize. Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 760 by Senator Moles, the 53rd, and others. A resolution commending the Gordon Lee softball team for winning the 2017 Class A Georgia High School Association Fast Pitch State Championship and for other purposes. That concludes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? Chair is none. The resolution is adopted. Chair recognizes Senator from the 53rd to recognize our special guest.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great day. My softball team from my alma mater, Gordon Lee High School in Chickamauga, they have been state champs for 8 years. Double A, now single A. There are about 450-something students in this school, 104 in their senior class. If you would, help me recognize the team up in the audience today. They're outstanding young ladies. But this year they won state champs again, and they're an incredible class of young ladies, do very well, and Coach Mull has coached them with their 8 state champs. So anyway, thank you very much, Gordon Lee High School.
Okay, guys, we have our joint session that we have to to get to at this time. Chair recognizes the senator from the 51st.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate stand in recess pending the call to order of the joint session, and upon dissolution of the joint session, that the Senate stand adjourned until Friday, 23rd of February at 10 a.m.
All right, read the announcements.
Rules will meet upon adjournment at 4:50 at the Capitol. Health and Human Services will meet at 1 p.m. 4:50 at the Capitol. Education and Youth will meet at 1 p.m. and 1:25 at the Capitol. Banking and Finance will meet at 2 p.m. in Mez 1. Agriculture and Consumer Affairs will meet at 2 p.m. and 1:25 at the Capitol. Regulated Industries and Utilities will meet at 2 p.m. 4:50 at the Capitol. State and local government operations will meet at 2 p.m. 3:07 at the COB. Government Oversight will meet at 3 p.m. and 1:25 at the Capitol. Ethics will meet at 3 p.m. and 3:07 at the COB. Economic Development and Tourism will meet at 3:30 in Mez. Transportation will meet at 4 p.m. and 4:50 at the Capitol. Judiciary will meet at 4 p.m. and 3:07 at the COB. Natural Resources and the Environment will meet at 4 p.m. and 3:10 at the COB. That concludes the order.
Senators move that the Senate stand in recess pending the call of the order, call to order of the joint session, and upon dissolution of the joint session, that the Senate stand adjourned until Friday, February 23rd, 10 a.m. All those in favor will say aye. All those opposed, no. Ayes clearly have it. So the bills that are on the calendar will go back to rules, and we will have our committee meetings scheduled as planned. Ask all the Senate members to gather in the back where we can be escorted over to the House chamber at this time. Senate members, there will be lunch provided. We were planning on coming back, but with some health issues of others having bills, we're not going to do so. Lunch will be provided in the ante room at 12 o'clock here. Let's meet in the back.